Hi, hello everyone. I am very happy to give my presentation in front of you. I am K. Nikita, studying in 10th standard. I am from TTWREIS Girls Shegunta, Medak region. So, today's my topic is female reproductive system. We already know about what is reproduction. So, reproduction means the essential from life process by continuations of life is called reproduction. Now, two different reproductions are there. So, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So, we discuss about the sexual reproduction. So, the ability to reproduce is one of the property distinguishing living from non-living matters, and the more primitive the animal, the simple the process of the reproduction. In mammals, in human beings also, that process is be one of the sexual reproduction. So, in how to reproduce sexual reproduction? So, in which a male and female organ differ automatically and physiologically, and grow organs different automatically and physiologically, and new individual developments from the fusion of two different sex cells. What is the two different sex cells? It's called gametes. First, what is gametes and what is two different sex cells? First, gametes, it's cell divided growth individual, and fusion repair or replacement is called gametes. And what is the two different sex cells? The male gametes and the female gametes. Or the male gametes, it's called spermatozoa, and the female gamete is called ova. So, reproduction is living and non-living matters also. So, we already know about what is living and non-living, and its reproduction is a mammals including humans, and the process is one of the sexual reproduction, and it's develop individual and the fusion of two sex cells. We know already what is the two sex cells, and it's the about introduction of the female reproductive system. So, female reproductive system, it's the female reproductive system, it's pair of fallopian tube and pair of ovaries and uterine cavity and ligament of the ovary and cervix vagina. It is the female reproductive system. So, these two pair of ovaries release egg, and this fallopian tube pass to the uterine cavity, and cervix is the along with the vagina, and vagina is the sexual intercourse. So, it is the structure of female reproductive system. I hope you can understand what I am telling. There's two pair of fallopian tube and the pair of ovaries and uterus and vagina. So, uterus, the inner lining is called the endometrium. So, it is the structure of female reproductive system. And major organs of the female reproductive system is cervix, vagina, ovaries, uterine tube, another name of the fallopian tube, and uterus. It's five major organs of the female reproductive system. So, cervix, what is the function of cervix, and what is the function of vagina, and it's all rise doubt in your mind. So, cervix, it's along with the vagina from the birth canal, and vagina, it's woman's monthly period and receive the pelvis from the sexual intercourse. And ovaries, their main function of the ovaries, they produce and release the egg from the female reproductive tract, and uterus. Its pear-shaped structure and its inner lining is called endometrium. So, it is the major organs of the female reproductive system. What are the major organs of the female reproductive system? Cervix, vagina, ovaries, fallopian tube and uterus. So, the ovaries' main function is they produce and release the egg, and fallopian reaches to the fallopian tube, and uterus of the endometrium is fertilized the egg. So, it is the about major organs of the female reproductive system. And female reproductive system, they produced sex hormones. What are the sex hormones? Estrogen and progesterone, and produced egg in the ova and support and developing and protect the embryo and give birth to the new baby. What is the female reproductive system? Which hormones produces the female reproductive? So, that are estrogen and progesterone produced the sex hormones for the female reproductive system, and produced egg in the ova. Where the presence of ova? In the ovaries, and it support and protect and developing the embryo and give birth to the new baby, and it's give new life to a baby. So, release egg to the ovary, and egg reaches the midpoint of the fallopian tube, where it is fertilized a sperm. Where they fertilized the sperm? In the fallopian tube. And where's the egg released? In the ovaries. Is it, guys? So, implantation of fertilized egg into the endometrium of the uterus. And where the fertilized egg in the endometrium of the uterus. So, the two pairs of ovaries, and they release egg in the ovaries and reaches the midpoint of fallopian tube, and their what is the main function of fallopian tube? A egg and a sperm meet and fertilized in the ovum, and they formed a embryo. So, where it is formed a embryo? In the uterus, and it reached the egg for the fallopian tube, where it fertilized a sperm. Where it's fertilized the sperm? In the fallopian tube. So, it is the fertilizing egg into the endometrium of the uterus. Where it's fertilized egg? In the endometrium of the uterus. And the function of female reproductive system are formation of ova and reception of spermatozoa and provision of suitable environment and fertilization and fetal development and maturation of childbirth and lactation of the production of breast milk, in which provide complete nourishment for the baby in its early life. So, what is the function of the female reproductive system? It's formed a ova, formation of ova, and receive these spermatozoa and provision of suitable environment and fetal development and maturation of childbirth and lactation of the production and the breast milk, which provide complete nourishment for the baby in its early life. It is the function of the female reproductive system, and it is the maturation of childbirth, and it's production of the breast milk, and it's give complete nourishment in the baby in it's live in its early life. And we discuss about the fallopian tube, another name of the uterine tube. First, what is the function of the fallopian tube? We have already discussed about that. So the main function of the fallopian tube, their main pathway, the egg and a sperm meet and fertilized in the ova and formation of embryo is the function of the fallopian tube, another name of the uterine tube. And it stretches from the uterus to the ovaries and measure about 3 to 13 centimeters in length. So ovaries and ovaries to uterus, it's measure about 3 to 13 centimeters in length. And the end of the fallopian tube at the lining to next to the ovary feather into ends called fimbria. So end of the fallopian tube lining next to the ovaries, then its ends called the fimbria. First, what is the fimbria? It's finger-like projection of the fallopian tube. And fallopian tube contain 4 major segments. There are isthmus, ampulla, appulla and infundulum. Its 4 major segments contain the fallopian tube. And it's millions of tiny hairs like cilia lines in the fimbria interior of the fallopian tube. Millions of tiny hairs like cilia lines in the fimbria and its end of the fallopian tube. And the cilia beast weighs hundreds of times and second catching the egg from the ovulation. It's a beast how many times? 100 times. And egg catching to the ovulation is the moving throat to the tube to the uterine cavity. So it's moving throat to the tube in the uterine cavity. And fertilization typically occurs in the fallopian tube. So fallopian tubes measure about uterus to ovaries 3 to 13 centimeters in length, and the end of the fallopian tube typing next to the ends called fimbria, and millions of thin hairs like cilia, and second catching the egg of ovulation to the uterine cavity, and fertilization typically occurs in the fallopian tube. It is the about fallopian tube. I hope you can understand the fallopian tube. And ovaries. We know already what is the produce of ovary. Their main important function of the ovaries, they produce and release egg from the gonads. So their main pathway of the main function of the ovaries, they produce and release egg from the female reproductive tract, also known as female gonads, and their produced egg also called ova, and every female born with a lifetime supply of egg, and they also produce hormones estrogen and progesterone. So what their produced egg also called ova. Where is the present of ova? In the fallopian tube. Not, it's the ovary. And they also produce sex hormones, which sex hormones produce the ovaries, estrogen and progesterone. These 2 organs produce the ovaries, and it's the main function of the ovaries. And uterus, it's pear-shaped structure and pear-shaped muscular organ from the female reproductive tract. Which shaped the uterus? It's the pear-shaped structure and pear-shaped muscular organ also. So the fundus is the upper portion of the uterus where pregnancy occurs. Where pregnancy occurs? Is the founder of the upper portion of the uterus. Their pregnancy occurs, and the cervix is the lower portion of the uterus where it's connected with the vagina and serves as sphincter to keep the uterus with the vagina, and the serves it's until it's time to deliver a baby, and closing during the pregnancy until it's time to deliver a baby. So what is the lower portion of the uterus? It's cervix, and it's connected with the vagina, and it serves as a sphincters to keep the uterus, and it's closing during the pregnancy. It's until time to deliver a baby. So the uterus expands considerably during reproductive process. So it expands considerably in the reproductive process, and the organ grows 10 to 20 times normal size during pregnancy. So its organs grow from the 10 to 20 times its normal size during pregnancy, and so it is the pear-shaped muscular organ and pear-shaped structure, and the upper portion of the uterus where pregnancy occurs, and the lower portion of the uterus it's the cervix, and it's connect with the vagina, and its sphincter keep to the uterus, and uterus closing during pregnancy when it's time to deliver a baby, and the uterus expands considerably during the reproductive process, and its organs grow 10 to 20 times in normal size during pregnancy. And uterus, the main body consists of a frame. Outer coat of the muscles is myometrium, and the inner lining of vascular granular materials is called endometrium. So the main body consists of a frame. Outer coat is called muscles is called myometrium, and the inner lining muscular granular materials is called endometrium, and the endometrium thickness during to the menstrual cycle they allow implantation of a fertilized egg. So its endometrial thickness during into the menstrual cycle it's allow implantation of a fertilized egg, and pregnancy occurs when the fertilized egg implants successfully into the endometrium lining. So it is the pregnancy occurs where pregnancy occurs in the uterus, where it occurs pregnancy in the lining endometrium lining of the uterus. So it is this pregnancy occurs when the fertilized egg impact successfully and into the endometrium lining. Is it, guys? So this is the structure of uterus. This is the structure of uterus. There, see the uterus, it's the pear-shaped structure, and its outer lining or outer frame is outer coat of the muscles is myometrium, and the inner coat of lining is vascular granular and materials called endometrium. So endometrium, first, what is endometrium? the endometrium is central echogenic. What is the endometrium? It's the central echogenic and detectable using ultrasound scanner and has an average thickness of 6.7 millimeters. So it is the central echogenic and detectable using ultrasound scanner and has average thickness of 6.7 millimeters. So during pregnancy, the blood vessels enter the endometrium and further it's increase the size or number forming the placenta. Whence during pregnancy, the blood vessels in the endometrium where it is formed a embryo, they further increase the size and the number forming the placenta. First, what is the placenta? What is placenta? Placenta is the placenta. It supplies oxygen and nutrition to the embryo and the fetus. And slogans of female fertilizers. A baby girl also need to ensure she is not less than a marvel in life. Please do not act wild. Save the girl's child. You know, just like water, what our society need a girl. Abortion is not excellent. You will have to repay the worth and save the girl child. You always need a mom, sibling and a lover. Then why don't you bring your daughter's life at the end? So finally my conclusion is reproduction and the family are central elements in the lives of peoples. In the 20th century, obstetricians began defining normal standards of childbirth and there was move away from the ideas of population and control and demographic targets toward the more holistic approaches of the reproductive health. And the new reproductive technology, new ethical questions have emerged. And perception about the reproduction have shaped medical practice, public policies and legal rights, technologies and the controls of everyday experience. So it's the structure of female reproductive system. It's the fallopian tube and it's the uterus, its vagina and its cervix. Fallopian tube, its main pathway of the fallopian tube, it's a egg and a sperm meet and fertilized the ovum and there will be formed a embryo. And its uterus, its pear-shaped structure and the inner lining is called the endometrium. And it's the cervix, it's along with the vagina and vagina, it's the sexual intercourse. It's the structure of female reproductive system. So it's my humble request, stop the female fertilizers and save the girl child. And when we celebrated National Girl Child Day 24th January. So thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity. Our Secretary Sir, OSD Sir, our Medak Region RCO Sampath Kumar Sir, our Principal Vani Madam and my mentality teacher G. Renuka Madam and my school faculties and my dear friends. Thank you and support and giving this wonderful opportunity for me. Thank you to all.